Welcome back to Oxyzen Health Intelligence. Today's episode is the safety episode, and it may be the most important one in the entire BPC-157 series. It's the moment to step out of the excitement of promising early science and look squarely at the real-world risks people face when they translate that science into products and personal use. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. A peptide that looks elegant under a microscope or in a lab report can become a very different thing by the time it arrives in a syringe. People often believe they are buying the science, but too often what arrives is uncertainty in a vial, a product whose contents, purity, stability, and safety are unknown. That gap between laboratory promise and consumer reality is where harm can happen. Regulation matters, and not in an abstract way. BPC-157 is not an FDA-approved drug for injury repair, gut healing, longevity, mood, addiction, or athletic recovery. In the United States, it has been placed into a regulatory space that creates major restrictions on routine compounding and broad medical use. That positioning is a signal, not a condemnation. Regulatory caution usually means there are unresolved questions about safety, consistent evidence of benefit, or whether a compound is suitable for legitimate prescribing and compounding at scale. It does not automatically mean the compound is dangerous, but it does mean it has not cleared the bar required for legal, widely available medical use, and that should give people pause. Now consider the gray market. Much of the peptide world exists outside the standard pharmaceutical supply chain. Sellers market products as research chemicals and print disclaimers like, not for human use, for research purposes only, laboratory use only. And yet many consumers buy these products intending to use them personally. That is the danger zone. Why? Because when something is not regulated or approved as a medicine, the manufacturing and quality controls can vary wildly. You may not know, and you often don't, whether the vial contains the peptide on the label, whether the peptide is present at the stated concentration, whether impurities or contaminants were introduced during synthesis, whether bacterial endotoxins are present, or whether the product degraded during storage or shipping. Cold chain handling, accurate labeling, sterile manufacturing environments, validated testing for purity and identity, these are the kinds of safeguards you expect from regulated pharmaceuticals. On the gray market, any of those steps may be weak or absent. A mislabeled or contaminated peptide is not merely an academic disappointment. It can be dangerous. There are recurring reports across the broader peptide marketplace of products containing the wrong compound, incorrect concentrations that could blunt effect or increase risk, contaminants that provoke immune responses, and other unknown impurities. The likelihood of such problems rises when products are sourced outside regulated medical channels where oversight, batch testing, and traceability are enforced. Athletes face additional, very concrete risks. BPC-157 is prohibited by the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA. That means competitive athletes can face disqualification, stripped medals, and career damage if they test positive, even if the peptide was used for what the athlete considers legitimate recovery or rehabilitation. Sports anti-doping rules are strict. Athletes are accountable for anything that enters their body, regardless of intent or recommendation. For anyone who competes at a regulated level, that reality must be part of the risk calculus. Doctor supervised is a phrase that sounds reassuring, and clinics know that. But it should not be a marketing shield for unproven interventions. Real medical oversight should answer hard questions. Is the product legal and compliant with pharmacy regulations? Is the medication manufactured and tested under accepted standards? Is there meaningful human safety data for the proposed use? Is there a clear, evidence-based indication for treatment? Are risks and unknowns explained candidly? Are alternatives discussed? Is there a plan for monitoring and follow-up with objective measures and safety checks? Is informed consent documented rather than implied? If those boxes aren't checked, the label "doctor supervised" may provide comfort without real protection. Price also confuses judgment. Some of these peptides are produced cheaply and sold at very high markups. Many patients assume a higher price signals better quality. It doesn't. Cost is not proof of purity, effectiveness, or safety. Trust should be built on transparent testing, independent batch verification, regulatory compliance, and clear clinical evidence, not on clinic branding, celebrity endorsements, or dramatic anecdotes. To be fair and clear, peptides as a drug class are not the problem. We already rely on peptide medicines. Insulin and GLP-1 analogs are two well-known examples that have changed millions of lives. The legitimate future of peptide therapeutics is bright. The problem lies in unvalidated peptide marketing. When research compounds are packaged and sold like proven medicines, when early-stage data are extended beyond their limits, and when enthusiasm outruns rigorous testing. So, here's the distilled message. BPC-157 may be scientifically interesting and worth studying further, but the current consumer market around it is filled with uncertainty about identity, purity, legality, and true clinical benefit. Uncertainty is not a call to panic, it's a call to caution. If you're considering a peptide, prioritize evidence, regulation, independent testing, and transparent medical oversight. Demand clear answers. Ask for batch certificates and sterility testing. Consider the legal and sporting implications, and don't let marketing substitute for proof. I'm Dr. Yendi. This is Oxyzen Health Intelligence. In the final episode of this series, we'll look ahead. What rigorous BPC-157 research would need to establish before it could become a real medicine, what clinical trial designs would be meaningful, and what a safer, more transparent future for peptide science might look like.